Auntie Rubina had started preparations for my and Rohan's wedding. Time was short and work was heavy. On the one hand, I was happy that Rohan's family liked me as soon as they saw me. And then Rohan had already liked me since he used to come to Auntie Rubina's house and he had gotten to know me quite well. And then Auntie Rubina also liked Rohan very much. Rohan was the son of a distant relative of Auntie's acquaintance and he came to Auntie Rubina's house one day for some work. At that time, I had also just come to Auntie Rubina's house when Auntie Rubina introduced me to her when Rohan asked me that I was her niece and that I had come to her village from Hyderabad because my parents, Auntie Rubina's brother and sister-in-law, died in an accident and I was alone. That's why she had brought me here with her. Rohan had probably liked me at first sight since he saw me. And from that day, Rohan had started to like Auntie. I started coming to Rubina's house under pretexts and then we got to know each other quite well and we didn't know when our friendship became mutual. Then, as soon as we saw the opportunity, Rohan talked to Auntie Rubina about our relationship and then Rohan sent his family to me and they too liked me immediately from the moment they saw me at first sight and this relationship was arranged by Auntie Rubina and Rohan's families and it took only 6 months for the wedding and the bottom line was that all the wedding ceremonies of me and Rohan took place not here in my village but in Rohan's city. On the one hand, I was very happy to marry Rohan but on the other hand, there was a fear in my heart because those wounds were still fresh in my heart because the whole scene of what my shameless father had done to me was still in front of my eyes. I was just afraid that if Rohan found out about all this, what would happen if he left me or if our marriage was affected in any way. When I talked to Auntie Rubina about this, she started getting angry with me saying that if you don't respect me, then at least respect me, but do that and keep my dignity and strictly forbade me that I would not talk about this accident that happened to me and I would never tell her the truth about myself. Then she started crying while explaining and seeing tears in her eyes. I fell silent because she really had sacrificed a lot to show me these happy days. Then for some time I forgot about that time and I became very busy with the wedding preparations with Auntie and then the happy days started. Auntie and I made the wedding preparations and left with Auntie and then a new beginning of my life was going to begin. That beginning of my life was going to start when everything had changed. I did not know what was going to happen to me and what doom was going to befall me soon. The wedding ceremonies were about to begin, Auntie and I. Rohan had reached the city and Rohan's family had made preparations to welcome me with great enthusiasm and after my arrival, Rohan and his entire family were very happy and soon wanted to see me as their daughter-in-law and Rohan's wife and then it all happened. I had not even thought that the doomsday would break upon me. Rohan and I were about to meet. He wanted to take me to the market with him to shop for dresses etc. for the wedding ceremonies and then as soon as I saw the opportunity I said nervously I have to talk to you very urgently. I want to tell you something before the wedding. Before that I could tell him something. At that moment I saw Auntie Abina coming from the front and I kept quiet and nervous and started changing the subject and engaging Rohan in other things. Right in front of me Auntie Rubina started staring at me and said that Rohan if you allow me, I will take Fajr with me for some time. I will just buy some things. And then I will drop her back. Then you guys can do shopping etc. together. When we returned to the house, Anar and Han nodded yes and Auntie took me from there by holding my hand and at the same time took me out. Auntie started getting very angry with me saying that I had explained to you but you did not come and today you were going to tell everything to Rohani. If Rohani left you after marriage because of your truth or if his family broke the relationship before you after this secret was revealed, then you do not know what would have happened. You would have been sitting like this as a virgin. This era will not let you live, and then if something ever happens to me, what will happen to you? Who will support you? My daughter will be left alone. It will be impossible for you to live, and this cruel era is very ruthless. Whenever a boy has ever been stained with infamy, this era has not let anyone live, and you know how shameful that deep secret of yours is, because your father did all that to you when you were 14 years old. Thinking even the soul trembles, and if this truth of yours comes out openly, not only Rohan will not accept you in his house, but no one will accept you. Only I know that my daughter Fajr is completely pure. Auntie, crying, wrapped me around her and started explaining to me, caressing my head with love and affection. Then, thinking, tears started coming to my eyes. Auntie Rubina, after all, was completely fine. If this is really the case, then today Auntie is with me. She will continue to fight and fight for me. But if she is not with me, then how can I, alone, shut the mouths of the people of this world? Then I will run away. And sometimes, whether Rohan is with me or not, because it doesn't take long for a man to doubt, and once a man doubts, he leaves a woman completely and doesn't even look back at her. Then how could I tell Rohan the truth about myself and my father? It was a good thing that Auntie had come at the right time today and had stopped me from telling Rohan all that. Rohan had come there in such a short time. I was stunned that he had not heard what my aunt and I were saying. But what Rohan said was, "What is it that you two are crying here, hugging each other like this? Is everything okay? Is there any bad news?" Seeing the look of surprise on his face, I understood that Rohan was still a complete stranger. He had not heard anything we said. But what Auntie said, laughing, "Oh, it's nothing. It starts at dawn, not at any time, anywhere, and she gets very depressed about her marriage. How can she live away from me?" And in the midst of such talk, this sensitive girl cried. I too could not control my emotions and tears came to my eyes. While we were all talking, we had lunch outside and returned home. And Auntie had taken a promise from me that day that I would forget all that forever and start a new life. I will forget everything that happened to me when I was 14 and will never mention it to Rohan or Rohan's family. Similarly, I had kept quiet in front of Rohan forever, and with a stone in my heart, I also thought of getting married and living a good and happy life. All the preparations for the wedding were over and the celebrations had begun. The mother's ceremony was also held with great pomp and show. Rohan's family performed my ceremony first, and then all the same people performed Rohan's ceremony on my behalf, because on my behalf there was only my aunt and some of her relatives, no one else. No matter what happens, the time of marriage is such that every girl misses her parents a lot, and in the same way, I also started missing both my mother and father. I wish my mother was with me and my father had not done all that. Today, as a father, he would have placed his hands on my head and sent me off with prayers, but that was all I had. There was a girl whose father made his own daughter dance and sing beautifully. There was an atmosphere of music and singing all around, and my mother was very happy. As soon as he saw my sad face, Rohan held my hand and consoled me, saying, "There is no need to worry. I will continue to support you in every difficult time of life, and you will always find me standing by your side like this." I felt very happy and satisfied after hearing all that Rohan had to say, and my heart was now completely at peace. Meanwhile, everyone in the house was in a state of confusion because Rohan's father had not returned yet, because he lived outside the country in London and rarely came here. Everyone was impatiently waiting for him to come, but due to some reasons, his flight was delayed by 2 days. He was supposed to come here before the Mayu ceremony, but he had not arrived yet. And then, Auntie Rubina and I had not seen him till today. Everyone knew him only by the name of Mahmud Sahib. We did not know what kind of punishment would befall us all when he came here. The next day was the Mendi ceremony, and Rohan and Mir Ankara the ceremony was also taught along with the Mehendi ceremony. Thar Wahan was very sad that his father had not arrived yet, so he started participating in the entire Mehendi ceremony with a sad and disappointed heart. But when the news reached him, everyone was very happy that he had reached his feet even before the wedding day. When this news reached the family, my heart started beating loudly. Now I had become Rohan's wife and had entered into his marriage, and now I was very worried about my new life to come. What would happen to me now? I was completely unaware and did not know. Auntie Rubina hugged me and congratulated me and hugged me with tears in her eyes. Today, she had fulfilled this last duty of mine as well. Then I remembered those moments again when Auntie Rubina had become my own and entered my life and saved me from all these problems and worries and came with me from a long distance. The next day, in the hustle and bustle of the wedding, both Auntie and I could not meet Rohan's father, and he had already reached home.